Hi guys, here are the corrections for our week 10 Monday mugshot. So if we look at the clues for the first sentence, we're looking at getting the right word, using a hyphen and the end punctuation. And so the right word and the punctuation are pretty obvious. If we look at this, I'll make it pretty in pink this time. Obviously we know that no needs to be that variety, okay? And if it's a question, we obviously know that we need a question mark at the end. Now, the hyphen is something that we've looked at, and if you remember, we only need a hyphen if two words function together as an adjective before the noun that they're describing. And so if we look at this, did you know that human beings are the longest living mammals in the world? And so if we look at this, we can find that longest and living are functioning as the adjectives for mammals. Now guys, as an example, okay, if the noun comes first, you don't need the hyphen. So if mammals came before longest and living in some form, we would not need the hyphen. Another example of this would be, we're looking for a dog-friendly hotel. Dog and friendly would be hyphenated versus, is this hotel dog-friendly? The noun comes first, so you would not need the hyphen in, is this hotel dog-friendly? Okie dokie? All right, let's go on to the next one. So subject-verb agreement, reflexive pronouns, and verb tenses. And so, kiddos, there's a couple of different ways that you could correct this. But let's start with this. And so if we read it, one way a shark protects its own self are with skin so rough that humans once harvest it to use as sandpaper. Strange but true. So what we're going to do is get rid of its own self and write itself. And then what we're going to do is change are, obviously, then to is. Now, again, we need to make sure subject-verb agreement, so harvested, okay? Now guys, something to remember here, reflexive pronouns, if you recall, are simply words ending in self or selves, and they're used as a subject when the object is the same. And so they can act as either the objects or the indirect objects. And if you recall, in one of our earlier examples, we learned the 9 reflexive pronouns in the English language. And so they're myself, yourself, himself, herself, oneself, itself, ourselves, yourselves, and themselves, okay? And so why we needed to change that is its own self could be changed to itself, which is one of the reflexive pronouns. All right, number 3, we're going to be looking at pronoun antecedent agreements, subject-verb agreements, commas, right words, and adjectives. All right, now remember guys, whenever you use a personal pronoun, she, it, they, you have to have an antecedent, which means it's the word that the pronoun is replacing. And so as an example here, before we even do the sentence, if we had one that said, Frank stopped chopping wood when he saw his friend walking down the driveway, in our sentence, what would be the personal pronoun and the antecedent? It would be Frank and he. So if we apply this to our example, obviously a male is taken out because we're not mailing seahorses to the postal service, so we would change it to the male. Okay? We do not need a comma here, so we can take that out. And then at the end, this is where we need to make sure that the pronoun antecedent matches. And so it's not going to be it hatches, it would be they hatch. Period. Okay? All right, guys, let's look at the next one here. And so the fourth one, we're looking at comparative and superlative adjectives as well as parallelism. Parallelism isn't something we've directly studied yet, guys, but it's something that most of you can naturally detect and pick up on. What it means is parallel sentences are kind of like parallel lines in geometry. They simply go in the same direction and they have the same structure. And so if we take a look at this, as the sentence in our example currently reads, The elephant seal is the most largest type of seal, growing as long as 21 feet, and it weighs as much as 8,000 pounds. And so obviously, if you listen to that, you can naturally pick up on the mistakes, but let's make sure that we do this together, okay? And so we can take out most because of the redundancy piece, and we need to replace it weighs with weighing. Okay? Now, as a reminder, you guys, superlative adjectives mean it's an extreme comparison. It simply allows the writer to make a comparison of nouns to either the biggest they can possibly be or the smallest or limits. So, for example, words like best, worst, things like that. And so we do not need the most largest, because largest in itself is a superlative adjective, meaning it's the highest limit of how big a seal can get. All right, chickadees, last one. Here we go. So comma, interjections, non-restrictive phrases, right words, and punctuations. So as a reminder, okay, interjections are words or expressions that we put into a sentence to convey either a surprise, something really strong emotionally, or to gain a reader's attention. And so if we look at this, we'll need a comma after really. Okay? Really are rhinoceros horns, which both male and female rhinoceros have, made of hardened hair. So as it stands right now, we need some commas in here to make sure that we split these up in between the phrases and the commas. Clauses. So we have really are rhinoceros horns, comma, which both male and female rhinoceros have, comma, made of hardened hair. Now, kiddos, obviously word choice here. Made, we're not having somebody go and clean a rhinoceros horn, so it would be the different form of the word, M-A-D-E. And we're not having a little bunny rabbit jumping around either here, so it would be the other form, H-A-I-R. And lastly, we're asking a question, and so we need to end with a question mark. All right, chickadees, hope that